Banana. Welcome back to Just Nuts, guys. Today we got more news. It's non-stop now. We got the collection pack stuff. We have Rising Rampage stuff coming at an incredibly fast pace. And hopefully we'll be getting the rest of whatever is going to be in dual power soon, because we're now 3-ish weeks? Yeah, about 3 weeks away from dual power as well, so get excited for that. But at least for the cards we have here, we have one single, and then a whole new archetype being revealed. So for the single, we see TG Gear Zombie right here. One of the last of Antinomy Bruno's remaining cards to finally get printed. This is a level 1 Dark Zombie Tuner effect monster. So he is a tuner. He is level 1. I believe he puts himself on field, which is pretty cool for TGs. You can only activate his effect once per turn. 600 attack, 0 defense. Nothing crazy. He's level 1. You can target one TG monster you control. Special summon this card from your hand, then that target loses 1,000 attack. Not bad. I mean, that's one thing that we always had trouble with with like synchro days, was getting tuners that could get themselves on field easily. And in the TG archetype, this kind of fits that bill. I don't know how easily they search. I guess no, they do have cards that search, right? Doesn't the wolf search and the rhino searches? I think. I can't remember. But this seems decent. I mean, I don't know how exactly this works with their specific synchro monsters, if this allows them to easily go into like their new, I think level 6 one, maybe he's level 5. The new guy, he's pretty good. But we'll see. I think it's a cool little support card. Nothing crazy though. Then we move into a completely new archetype called the TOnWay style martial arts. It looks like we're going for some Chinese style martial arts. The term TOnWay is Chinese for heavenly or imperial authority, but based on cards we're taking it to be a style of martial arts, and often with martial arts, you don't translate the style's name. Now, do you? No. So we're leaving it in a Chinese style naming pattern. Okay. This theme's plot line will be revealed in V-Jump. Great. Okay. So, we have a bunch of dragons, but they're worms. So we have TOnWay Dragon Adhara, a level 1 Earth Tuner Worm. Tuner Worm effect monster. 0 attack, 0 defense, nothing crazy. And 2 hard ones return effects. If you control no effect monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. Okay, so it's specifically no effect monster, so it's not no monsters period, which is interesting, which means things like if you use Scapegoat on your opponent's turn, you could still drop this for free before you clear your tokens, or if you just have a normal monster period, you can just drop this and still, that. So that's interesting. Okay, we'll see where that comes into play. That seems weirdly specific. If you control a non-effect monster, you can banish this card from your hand or graveyard, then target one of your banished worm monsters except this card and add it to your hand. So I'm guessing the rest of these monsters banish themselves, so he's going to allow you to kind of search them. This is like almost like a Thunder Dragon-esque effect, but cool. I dig it so far. Really cool designs. They have like these like mythical dragon look to them. We have TOnWay Dragon Sathana. Level 4 water worm effect monster, not a tuner. 400 attack, 2,000 defense, big booty, 2 hard once per turns. If you control no effect monsters, you can special summon this card from your hand. So I'm guessing they're all going to have that effect, which is not a bad effect. It's a good effect to just get started with. If a non-effect monster or monsters you control is destroyed by battle or card effect, you can banish this card from your hand or graveyard, then target one of those destroyed monsters and special summon it. Then you can destroy one monster your opponent controls. Okay, so that's a nice little punish there. I don't think it's that good. I mean, like, you're relying on destruction, but it is battle or card effect. Banish this card from your hand, revive the card you lost, and pop one monster your opponent controls. I think it's decent. It doesn't target, so that's cool. It only targets the monster in grave you revive, not your opponent's monster. So I dig it. Then we have TOnWay Dragon Manera, A level 4 Fire Worm effect monster, still not a tuner. 600 attack, 1600 defense, 2 hard once per turn. First effect looks like the same. If you control no effect monster, special this from your hand. When your opponent activates a card or effect that targets a non-effect monster or monsters you control, quick effect, you can banish this card from your hand or graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. Now this is weird. I mean, like, there's a lot of targeting. I think Konami's just making sure that they're making stuff target, because non-targeting, non-destruction removal is like really busted. So I think they're trying to make sure a lot of decks like have that, so effects like this can be much better, much more useful in the meta. This is destruction, which is like kind of the same thing. Most things destroy, but not everything. There are decks that don't destroy, but this is just targeting. You get to negate and destroy. It's just a straight up hand trap, but it has to be if your opponent targets a non-effect monster, which means like if your opponent tries to Widow Anchor, I mean, your opponent can't Widow Anchor, so like against Striker, they can't Widow Anchor a normal monster, so this doesn't really work in that instance, but I don't know. I think it's decent. I think it's a decent hand trap. Then we have TOnWay Dragon Nahata, a level 4 Wind Worm effect monster, 800 attack, 1000 defense. Not impressive stats on these, but I don't think that's their point. 2 hard once return effects. First one the same. If you control no effect monsters, you can specialist from your hand. And when an attack is declared involving your non-effect monster and an opponent's face-up monster, you can banish this card from your hand or graveyard. The opponent's monster loses 1500 attack to the end of the turn. So, a battle trap. If you put him in grave, I guess if you put him in grave, it's pretty nice. It's kind of just like, come at me, like. But also, they're so weak that it works defensively, I guess, with if Thana is in grave, if in defense mode, or Manera is in defense mode. But even if they're not if they're in attack mode, like, that only lowers them 1500. They still beat over Ed Hara. If he's in attack, anything over 1900 still beats over Sathana. Anything over 2100 still beats over Manera, which a lot of decks can put out. And with himself, 2300. So it's really defensive for their stats, like, not being good. Why didn't they just make their stats a little bit better? I don't think that breaks them at all. Oh well. I don't think it's terrible. I don't think it's great. I think it's somewhere in the middle. Then we have a big boy here. We have TOnWay Dragon Vishuddha, a level 7 Dark Worm effect monster, 1500 attack, 2500 defense, big booty. First effect, the same as the rest. No effect monsters on your field. You can special summon it from hand. And if you control a non-effect monster, you can banish this card from your graveyard, from your hand or graveyard, then target one card your opponent controls and return it to the hand. It's not a quick effect. If this was a quick effect, this card would be so nasty. But it still is just kind of like spot removal on your turn to just banish any one card. So, yeah, not bad. And I love that you can use these in grave. So you literally could use this card as like link material, and then after it's engraved, just like banish it to just banish a monster. Gone. That's actually pretty spicy. Not to mention, it's just a level 7 that puts itself on board. These are all like level 4s and a level 1 that just like, if you open them, so this could just be like generic stuff, just using them as like a play starter, getting an easy monster on board. Or maybe level 7 decks like Dark Magician or other decks that play level 7 specifically, this card could be useful in. I like it. Then we move on to some Link monsters, which is really, really cool. We have TOnWay Bare-Fisted Monk. I like his design. He looks pretty cool. He is a Link 1 Earthworm Link effect monster, points straight down, so that's pretty solid. He has 1000 attack, and he's a normal monster. So that's wild. Okay. So now what this means is that you can literally special one of these monsters, because you control no monsters, so you definitely don't have an effect monster. Link them into this guy, because he takes any non-Link TOnWay monster. Okay, so he is archetype locked. So you literally just make him, and then because you have him, you don't have an effect monster anymore because he's a normal monster. And then you could drop another one and make go into your Link 2. So straight away, and then they have their graveyard effects, the protective kind of graveyard effects, which is pretty cool. Okay, I like that. That's a good, that's cool. I think that's creative the way they did that. Then we have TOnWay Dragon Sage, a Link 2 Fire Worm Link Effect monster, 1600 attack. Bottom left, bottom right, good arrows. Takes any 2 worm monsters. Now this is where we start seeing some sort of generic possibilities with just any worms. We'll see. Both effects are hard once per turn. You can discard 1 card, then target 1 worm monster in your graveyard. Special summon it, but for the rest of this turn, you cannot activate the effects of monsters special summoned from the extra deck other than TOnWay monsters while they are on the field. Okay. And when an attack is declared involving your non-effect monster, you can target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it. So the first effect I think is actually pretty decent because like once you go up into this, you literally just discard a card to revive a worm, and then you can go into your Link 3. So going into your Link 3 is pretty easy, it seems. Like you can kind of go into it off of any 2 of the worms in hand, right? Plus any 1 other card. You need 1 other card. The problem is I don't see much advantage gaining here. Yeah, there's really not a lot of advantage gaining. It's all just coming from hand. So once you run out of your hand, it looks like you may be done resource-wise. Yeah, so 3 cards gets you into this guy, at least your 3000 beater, and then hopefully you have some of your TOnWay monsters engraved to help protect him. So I guess that's kind of the deck, is that it's kind of a helmet deck where you go into this guy. Your main play is go into this guy, and you have their effects engraved to protect him, which is not bad. On the second effect, I don't know, like, this wouldn't really come up until... Maybe it would, because maybe you could attack. Maybe you could, like, when you revive a monster, you attack with it, and then, like, you just pop something quick. So maybe it would, but they're not big, so it limits the way you're able to play with this effect. But I think it's decent. I think this card's pretty dang good. Then we have a normal monster, your boss monster, 3000 attack. Bad arrows, though. Up, right, and bottom right. 3000 attack, though, which is pretty good. And he's really generic, which is interesting because all we've seen, like the biggest Link 3 we've seen, and it was a normal monster too, was Gaia Saber, I believe, and he's 2600. So this is a 400 buff, and it's still generic. 2 monsters, including a Link monster. So we could maybe see him in some other decks. I don't know. Let me finish off with 3 other cards. We have Land of the Eternal TOnWay, which is a field spell. It says non-effect monsters on the field are unaffected by monster effects. That's pretty nice. A little protection there, and once per turn, if your opponent special summons an effect monster and you control a non-effect monster, you can draw 2 cards. That is spicy. Now I don't know if this is a card you want to play at 3 because like your opponent's probably not special summoning except for on their turn, right? So this is like really slow draw 2, but I don't know. Maybe it's possible to just draw 2 every single turn. Like if they have floating effects that special summon back, like Salamangrates or something. Like they try and summon Gazelle on your turn, you draw 2 on your turn. This card's interesting. I don't know. We don't see much searching. If there's an effect that just searches you any like TOnWay card, then maybe this is like Crusadian, you just play this at 1. And if like going through your basic combo, you can search 1, you just grab this, set it up so your opponent knows if they're trying to special summon an effect monster, while you've got your non-effect monster, they're giving you 2 more cards to hand. This seems to be the only advantage gaining this deck really gains, other than, you know, nah, that's pretty much it. The Link play doesn't really get you advantage. It's like neutral advantage. Then we have another normal spell card called the Holo Cycle of Dragons. You can only activate this card once per turn. Send 1 worm monster from your deck to the graveyard. Then, if you control a non-effect monster, you can add 1 TOnWay monster from your deck to your hand with a different name from the sent monster to the graveyard. Now this is good. This is the card we were looking for, the actual advantage gaining. Sort of. It's a 1-for-1 for the card to hand, but then you get a little extra advantage by the card you get to send, which is nice. And you're almost always going to have a non-effect monster because, like, you just open this with any TOnWay, you just special summon TOnWay, go into the Link 1, and then there you go. This is live to get you the double effect, which is pretty good. So this card's pretty good. I like the ceiling on this in terms of just like setting up boards. I like that. And then we have a counter trap card, Supreme TOnWay Style Fist. When a monster effect or a spell or trap card is activated and you control a non-effect monster, negate the activation. Okay. that's pretty generic, and you have a link one you can go into to literally just make this live. It's like Salamangreats almost, how you can literally just make Balinks off of any level 4 lower Cyberse monster, and then your like counter trap is live. Same thing with this card, so that's pretty cool. I like that. And then if this set card you control is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can special summon one non-effect monster from your extra deck. Whoa, that's pretty cool too, because if you were able to go ever to go second, and you like set this card, but your opponent had the Heavy Storm Dusters, the Twin Twister set, and they just like go to pop you so that you don't get cards live on your turn, then this card gets you some kind of advantage by just dropping the link 3 on your board, getting a 3,000 beat stick out of this. So this is nice, just something. You get something out of it being removed. So I dig it, guys. But let me know what you think. Let me know what you think of the new archetype. Let me know what you think of the new, I mean, if you care about TGs, I don't know how good this card works with archetype, but I think this archetype is really interesting. I was looking at advantage gaining, and there's not a ton here. The field spell is interesting, and this card is pretty sweet as well. I think all 3 of the spell and traps are solid. The links are interesting, and the monster. I think it's a really interesting archetype. We'll see if it works in any way, shape, or form, or if it works with anything that's already out in the game. Some kind of weird synergy I'm not foreseeing here, but we'll get there when we get there. Thanks so much for watching. If you like this video, if you like the news videos, we got a ton of news lately, so sub up to the channel if you want to get more news soon. And I'm also gonna have some deck profiles and stuff coming, and think about doing a new series if I do have Wednesdays off, of doing this thing where I go to locals, and every week I just do a tournament report of my locals, just something like that, and I try to play like different decks almost every locals and give you guys my experiences there, because I think that could be valuable information for anybody. But yeah, guys, I'm gonna get the hell out of here. Thank you so much for watching. Peace it right on out.